Unit 2, Rational Numbers, Lessons 1 and 2, and this is part number 3. Now, we will learn how can you compare and order integers. Let's remember what's integers. We knew that integers is three parts or three group of number. We have number line. First we put 0. Here we put positive and here negative. Positive integer 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. Negative integer negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4 and so on. All these numbers are called integer. Now, how to compare between any two integers? When you compare two integers on a number line, we will make comparing using number line. The right number is greater. Any number, the right side is greater than the left side. So, if we compare between 2 and negative 4, 2 and negative 4, look at 2 in the right of 4, of negative 4, right? So 2 is greater than negative 4. And we may compare between negative 1 and negative 3. Negative 1, negative 3. We know that negative 1 in the right, negative 3 in the left. So negative 1 is greater than negative 3. If it's all positive integer like 2 and 4, of course 4 is greater than 2, but 2 is greater than negative 2, negative 4. 1 is less than 3, but negative 1 greater than negative 3 according to number line. For example, okay, here we need to compare between negative 2 and 7. Negative 2 as a temperature and 7 as a temperature. Negative 2 and 7. Look, you have negative 2 here and 7 here. You note that 7 on the right and negative 2 to the left of 7. So direct 7 is greater than negative 2. 7 is greater than negative 2. You may say that 2 and 7. Although 7 is greater than 2. Why? Because if you compare between 7 and 2, also 7 on the right side of 2. 7 on the right side of 2. So 7 greater than 2. 7 also greater than negative 2. Okay, let's see together. Then 7 is to the right of negative 2 on the number line. So 7 greater than negative 2. Okay? Here you can write it this way or this way. So I know that 2 less than 7 or 7 greater than 2. It's all right. Okay? So you can say that 7 greater than negative 2 or negative 2 less than 7. It's all right. Another example. Order 2, negative 2 and 5. Negative 2, 5 and negative 8. You have three numbers. Negative 2, 5, 8. You may draw number line like that. 1. Okay. And see where is the negative 2? Negative 2, it's here. Where is the 5? Here. Okay, we have negative 8. Negative 8 here. Directly and quickly you know that 5 in the right of negative 2 and negative 8. So 5 on the right side, so 5 is the biggest one. 5 is the biggest one. Okay. Now compare between negative 2 and negative 8. You know that negative 2 on the right of negative 8. So negative 2 greater than negative 8. So 5 is the greatest one. Negative 8 is the smallest one. Okay? You can order these numbers by two ways. Ascending or descending. If you asked me to ascending, okay, you start with the smallest one, negative 8, negative 2 and 5. But descending order, you start with the greatest one, 5, negative 2, negative 8. Okay? Let's have this example. Put less than, greater than, or equal. See, 4 and 3. 4 the number line and 3 here. 4 in the right of 3. So 4 greater than 3. 4 greater than 3. 5 and negative 10. 5 is here. Negative 10 here. So 5 greater than negative 10. 5 greater than negative 10. Negative 4 and negative 12. Without negative, I know that 12 greater than 4. But because 12 on the right of 4. But here we have negative. We have negative and negative. We know that negative 4 is here. Negative 12 will be here. So negative 4 on the right of negative 12. So negative 4 greater than negative 12. 0 and negative 2. Of course, 0 to the left of negative 2. So 0 greater than negative 2. And negative 8 and negative 7. Negative 7 to the left or to the right of negative 8. So what negative 7 located here and negative 8 here. Negative 7 to the right of negative 8. So negative 7 greater than negative 8. Last one, negative 3 and negative 7. Quickly. Yes, negative 3 greater than negative 7, because if we draw a number line, you will note that negative 3 will be here and negative 7 here and 0 here. Okay, so negative 3 on the right or to the right of negative 7. So negative 3 greater than negative 7. Example number 7. Arrange the following integer, once ascending, another descending. Ascending start with the greatest or the smallest, ascending with the smallest one. Okay, but ascending start with the greatest one. Okay, we have 4, negative 5, 1, negative 3, 0, 6, negative 7 and negative 1. You can imagine the number line, just imagination. We know that here we have 0 and here positive integer and to the left negative integer. So of course you know that all the positive integer is greater than the negative integer, because the positive integer to the right of 0, but the negative integer to the left of 0. Always to the left, to the right is greater than to the left. Okay, any number, any integer here is greater than any integer here, or any positive number is greater than any negative number. Okay, so if we need to arrange them ascending order to start with the smallest one. Okay, of course we have positive and negative. Of course the smallest one will be negative. Let's compare between the negative number like that. First, the negative number and the positive number. To quick choose the smallest one. We know that 1 is less than 7. Okay, but if we put the negative sign here, okay, what's the difference now? Yes, negative 1 is greater than negative 7, because negative 1 to the right of negative 7, right? Okay, and 1 and negative 7. We said that before, any positive number is greater than the negative 1. Okay, negative 1 and 7, of course 7 greater than negative 1. Any positive greater than negative, any positive greater than negative. But if we compare two positive, okay, the biggest number will be greater than the smallest one. If we put negative sign to the two number, okay, we look at the number here, the smallest one with the sign will be the greatest, because negative 1 is closest to 0, but negative 7 is so far. Negative 7 and negative 1. Negative 1 close to 0, negative 7 is far from 0. So negative 1 close to the positive side than negative 7. So now let's back to our example. We have negative 5, negative 3, negative 7, negative 1. What's the smallest one? The smallest one here will be the biggest digit with the negative sign. The biggest digit with negative sign is 7. Negative 7 is the smallest one. Okay? Next, negative 5. Next, negative 3. And last one, negative 1. Now we finished all the negative integer. Let's see what about the rest of this number. We have 4, 1, 0, 6. Of course, the smallest one is 0. Next, 1. Next, 4. This arrange is ascending. We start with the smallest digit or smallest integer. Okay? See, the smallest one, negative 7. It's so far from 0 to the left. Negative 5, negative 3, negative 1, 0. Look, negative 7, negative 5, negative 3, negative 1, 0, 1, 4, 6. You know that the smallest one is so far to left side from 0, and the biggest one is so far to right of 0. So if we need to make it descending, you start with the greatest one. The greatest one here is 6. Next 4. Next 1. Next 0. Next minus 1. Next minus 3. Next minus 5. Next minus 7. Okay? Okay. Let's see about the final result. About ascending order, you start with the biggest digit with the negative sign. Okay, to 0. Then you start to increase digits 1, 4, 6. The opposite of this operation is the descending order. You start with the biggest one, so we start with the biggest digit without negative. Okay, 6, 4, 1, 0. Now you start the negative part with the smallest digit. Negative 1, negative 3, negative 5, negative 4. Always about the ascending order, you start from the left side going to the right side. But descending order, you start from the right side going to the left side. We will check our understanding about comparing integers. Okay? Question number 1, put greater than or less than or equal. 6 and 2, it's easy. It's two positive digit. 2 and 6, of course, 6 greater than 2. It's easy. 2 and minus 3. Of course, any positive digit or integer is greater than any negative integer. Direct. 0 and negative, of course, 0 is greater than any negative integer. Okay? So here we have two negative integer. Now, note that 4 and 8, of course, 8 greater than 4. But with the negative sign, it's opposite. So minus 4 or negative 4 greater than negative 8, because negative 4 choose the right of negative 8. Okay? And negative 4 is closer to 0. Negative 8 is far from 0. Okay? Negative 101. Of course, any positive is greater than any negative. Okay? Negative 2, negative 20. Of course, negative 2 greater than negative 20. Okay. Now we have to arrange the following number in ascending order. Ascending order, you start with the smallest one. Okay. Now we have 4 minus negative 3, 6, 0, negative 7. I need to start with the smallest one. Now I have negative integer and 0 and positive integer. The smallest, of course, will be the negative, one of the negative. Okay? Who is the smallest one? Negative 3 or negative 7? Of course, negative 7 is the closest, is the smallest one. Okay? After negative 7 will be negative 3. Note that I'm walking to 0. I'm walking to 0. Negative 7, negative 3, 0. Right? Now we start with the positive integer. With the positive integer. Positive integer, what's the smallest one? 4 or 6. Of course, 4. And last integer is 6. Note that negative 7, negative 3, 0, 4, 6. You start from the left to the right. From the left to the right on the number line. Number line, we have here 0, here positive, here negative. Okay, we start from the negative part to 0 and to positive integer. You have arranged these numbers or these integers in the order of ascending. Okay, now you have to arrange in descending order. You start with the greatest one. Okay, you start from the right to the left. From the right, you start with the positive, 0 and negative. Okay, look, where is the positive? We have 2. Just 2. You start with 2, of course. Okay, now all these integers are negative, but 0. Now we have all these integers are negative. Okay, negative, what's the greatest negative integer here? Negative 7 or negative 9 or negative 4 or negative 11. Which one of them is closest one to 0, closest digit to 0, closest integer to 0 is negative 4, then negative 7, then negative 9, and the last one is negative 11. Note that negative 11 is so far from 0. Negative 11 here. Okay, 2 here. 0, negative 4, negative 7, negative 9. You can note that the greatest one is the positive, and we move to left from the positive to 0 and to the left of 0. Now we reach to the end of part number 3.